should be far too smart for this, but your kiss is temporarily unavailable. So I'll just let it burn. Kiss me before you go. Oh, how it aches so good. It's understood that I'll be hanging by a thread. Heart has a fantasy of the good girl I long to be, skirting the disaster, legs running faster from every choice. It's a choice when the worst things for you are what you choose to do. Seek me out, I'll take you in, so ready to begin again. Kiss me before you go. Oh, how it aches so good. It's understood that I'll be hanging by a thread. Kiss me before you go. Burst of flame followed by a spark. I should be far too smart for this, but your kiss is temporarily unavailable. So I'll just let it burn. Kiss me before you go. Kiss me before you go. Kiss me before you go. Oh, how it aches so good. Kiss me before you go. Oh, how it
Thanks, Hawkrin. I appreciate that. Giving us some time here before I start doing things. How are you tonight?
burst of flame followed by a spark. I should be far too smart for this, but your kiss is temporarily unavailable. So I'll just let it burn.
So, what is this even about? Let's talk about this. You know, I spend a lot of my time in the mornings going through all of the news, getting ready for the podcast and things like that. And I try to pick out a lot of the things that are not masturbatory in the sense of like, oh, look, I've got a new game. Don't you want to touch it? And it gets frustrating sometimes. So, while we're not doing a podcast until January 7th, I thought I would try something a bit different because I'm still going to pull the news. I'm still going to dump it into my Discord server. And from there, see what happens. There's a lot of good things that come across, a lot of funny things, a lot of incredulous things, and there's some things I won't touch. Like, for my own reasons, I probably won't comment on Microsoft or Activision Blizzard, and that's due to some other circumstances at this particular point. So, while it may be there, I may read them off, but I'm not going to give my opinions on those just because it could be harmful. Sound bites are terrible, and you've seen what it does to folks. And again, just due to the nature, it's not going to be a thing. But there are other things I can talk about, and even during the podcast, I probably won't touch on those items at all. So let's try this out. I don't really have a schedule or a plan or anything, but this is a good introduction to my Discord server. This particular Discord server, I started off as a production Discord server, and I wanted to develop it. It was just me and the hosts for a period. And that's Imee and Needs Espresso, or Crit Chicken as we call her on the podcast, and the Nordic Cajun, who is currently beating his face against Street Fighter 6 beta. Lucky bastard. But it's kind of grown a bit. I've invited some friends. I've got some streamer friends, and I finally opened it up as a community server, so it makes it easier to let people know that when we're going to be online. And it also allows for like-minded individuals to come in and talk about what's going on or see what we're talking about. The public-facing server is pretty much everything, and generally speaking, the voice channel and newsroom. And newsroom is where I post all my stuff. I had to turn off notifications because I didn't want to ping everybody every time I posted in a new channel. So, as you can see, I've got game news and not game news and game press releases, and we might touch on some trailers or something like that during this session. But I pick a lot of these solely on title alone. Like, let's take a look at this one right here. G Fuel announces a poo-themed drink inspired by 2001's Edge's video game. Okay, so let's check this out. I'll open this up, we'll swap scenes. And, of course, we have Conker here, because why not? And let's see, what does it say? I can hardly think of any other game series that has been tortured quite in the way Conker has. As if the titular squirrel hadn't had a rough enough existence already, G Fuel is ready to drag his corpse out of its grave and theme an entire drink around it. By the way, the source for this is PC Gamer. Okay. So, Conker, if I remember correctly, has been I'm not going to say a dirty character, but he certainly has been naughty in presentation. So that makes it kind of interesting to even bring up a drink. And judging by the title, poo themed, I hope it's not flavored. This isn't any flavor G Fuel we're dealing with. That sounds terrible. So let's keep going. Not only that, but the energy drink brand has created the whole thing around one of Conker's Bad Fur Day's weirdest characters, the Mighty Pooh. And if you ever search around YouTube, there is boss battles with that particular Pooh. And I'm not going to say it's disgusting. It's comical. I mean, it's a video game. Everything's, cartoony and happy and things like that. But, okay. So, yep, G Fuel is literally marketing the shit-themed drink from a game that's over 2 decades old. No, this isn't another toe-curling cringe skit from Nathan for You. This is real, actual thing that exists. Thankfully, the drink itself won't taste like excrement. Okay, good. That's good news, because that was my first question. But rather is tropical corn soda. Okay, so they use corn syrup in literally everything. Tropical corn? Is there really a difference? I mean, is it like pineapple tainted? I mean, what defines? Like maybe it tastes like a pina colada. Maybe that's what we're doing. Oh. Honestly, I'm not sure if that flavor is any better. So we've answered a few questions here. I don't really care about the rest of this article. So we've got G Fuel releasing poo-themed drinks that taste like tropical corn soda. Let that sink in for a second. Tropical corn soda. Yeah. Let's go back and see what else we have that I've pulled. Maybe we can find something interesting. I've got, almost 6 months of stuff here. And we're just starting with the most recent. I don't think I pulled anything for today, but again. Everything I've done is not really about the news or delivering the news. It's more along the lines of talking about it and the shenanigans that go on within. So, let's keep going. Dwarf Fortress. Now, I don't have to open this up to even talk about this one. I haven't played it. I want to. I understand that this game has been around for about 20 years. It's ASCII-based. You can pretty much go to and play it right now for free at their website. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. And that way we can showcase it behind me here. Go Gadget Bingle. Let's see here. Dwarf Fortress. 12. How about this? Because it's pulling up everything regarding, let's see, Blade. Nope. Fortress. How to play Dwarf Fortress. Man, it is really hit off because you can't find the site where... Interesting. Alright, let's try see here. There we go. Dwarf Fortress video game. Go here. Let's see here. Construction management roguelike. Available as freeware. I need the link, please. Well, I guess suppose the wiki page is going to have to suffice. It's certainly an ASCII-based game. Like, here is a blow-up. Like, this is what you're looking at. So every bit of this represents some sort of terrain, creature, or anything like that, which I think is absolutely brilliant. There's not many ASCII games out there anymore. Most games are focused more on high fidelity and realism. Sometimes it's more stylized, like a Phoenix Rising, or I think a good example that really broke the mold was Wind Waker when that was released for... Is that the GameCube? It wasn't the Wii. No, the Wii had Twilight Princess. It's the GameCube. The people complained about the cel-shaded style, but you know there was a lot going on there as well. Here's what a... Can I zoom in on this, please? I don't want a visual search. I want to zoom in. Nope, that's what you get. Here, it said escape. Can I get out of this? No. There we go. This looks somewhat like a continent or an island of some sort. Like, it did a lot. Like, there's not much you could really do with ASCII. But you can be expressive, and they were, and it's text-based, it's adventure-like. Now, the Steam version, on the other hand, let me pull that up real quick. I believe is a bit more robust. Let's see here. Store, please. Pop this over. There we go. Dwarf Fortress. So this is probably representing what it used to look like, and this is what they've done now. So they've taken all of the little ASCII representation and actually put sprites behind it, which is neat. It actually gives it a real look. I'm glad that they didn't like overdo it. I understand this was developed by two guys, and they called out and they wanted to do something a bit more interesting and put it up on Steam. And there's been a lot of articles written on it, like they were millionaires in under 6 days and things like that, which was really cool. But there's other things going on too, like whenever this was released, I think if we go and we take a look at the let's get down. Like, some folks were really confused on why this topped out really fast. And I waited 15 years to give Tarn my $30, and this is pretty much the response given, because someone had commented, I understand why everybody did this. Did you really wait 20 years or 15 years to give them $30? And it was just yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. And the article was funny because it was keeping count and being very aware while it was writing about these counts, where I think at the end, let me see if I actually have that. I might. Let's see here. I think it was Dwarf Fortresses confused, or users are confused. Nope, that was a different one. This seems interesting as well. We'll get to that here in a few. This right here. So, Riot Games suing NetEase claims Hyperfront copies Valorant. And that's interesting about that is NetEase was the same company that developed Diablo Immortal alongside Blizzard. And one of the complaints early on in development was it looked like another title. That was an ARPG that was developed by NetEase. So you can only imagine what Riot was going to get out of a Fortnite-based, not a Fortnite, a League of Legends-based, whatever it is they were going to make. It's like they have a template of something and just shove assets in and go, there you go, you have a game. And it's more shovelware. It's almost asset flipping, except it's the underlying engine that drives all of this. It's absolutely insane. Get a drink of my drink. There we go. Let's get back down here. What else are we looking at? So yeah, Dwarf Fortress. It's heartwarming to see that two beloved developers who made a game and then did something with it, and for as robust as it is, being as visually simplistic as it is, to do so well. Let's see here. What do we got? Get down to the bottom here. Rick and Morty creators issue patch to make new shooter less annoying. And the thing about Justin Roiland is that, I mean, I love Rick and Morty. It is annoying to the point where it's adorable, and that's why I watch Rick and Morty. So, I can only imagine. Let's see what this is about. Let's open this bad boy up and see what we can get out of it. Now you can tell that annoying blue guy and the other chatty guns to shut it. Oh, you can like turn off the flavor chat? What? I like annoying sounding things like feedback loops on Discord calls, WD-40 door hinges and small dogs who are losing their shit over the existence of reality. But not everyone likes to be annoyed while playing video games. Well, yeah. And that's why the developers for recently released first-person shooter High on Life issued a patch to deal with one of its more divisive elements, talking guns that just won't quit. I don't know what to make about this. I mean, mind you, I guess it's a quality of life improvement because you don't have something chattering at you all the time. But I think it just kind of destroys the aesthetic. Even in Rick and Morty or Solar Opposites, I think is what it was. Yeah, Solar Opposites. The characters there are just extremely annoying from the voices and the way they talk and the things they do. But it's at a point where it's in theme. Oh no, switch to Verizon. Don't do that. There we go. So if I remember correctly, the trailers for this were absolutely incredible. I laughed, especially the knife gameplay, the stabby guy. Oh yeah, gonna stab it. It was. It's some funny stuff, that's for sure. So let's see here. Let's see here. High on Life, a Metroidvania first-person shooter that was described in our review as this fucking talking gun game. Released yesterday on PC and Xbox. Okay, so that's kind of its moniker. They took away its symbolism for the guns and the things that talk to you. Honestly, I would just say deal with it. There's got to be a point in development and developers where they have to take and put their foot down and be like, no, this is our vision. This is what you're going to get. Versus like all the flavor text with the talking guns and whatnot. Like that's what you get it for. It's like asking FromSoft to implement an easy mode or a normal mode in Elden Ring. It was intentionally made difficult. The risk versus reward scaling on it is incredibly high, so you get a huge dopamine hit at the end of those type of games, and that's always fun. So, yeah. I personally would have made this design choice. But, you know, if it sells more copies, by all means. At the end of the day, it's not like it's a game as a service or a free-to-play game where you have to constantly appease the audience. It's a body of work. I mean, you don't go to a museum and look at a piece of art and go, huh, you know what would make this still life better? A can of Campbell's soup, and then convince a bunch of other people, or a bunch of other people hear you and agree, and make the artist take it down and give it a can of Campbell's soup. It doesn't make sense. You just don't do that. Why would you do that? It's a terrible idea. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Harry Potter game shows off some straight up wizard murder. So this game has actually been on my radar for a bit, and I'm real curious what they're going to do with it. Let's give it a look. Get rid of some of these open tabs here. Here we go. Hogwarts Legacy is just a couple months away, and if you haven't been paying attention, the Harry Potter spinoff isn't messing around. The game will let players learn the series' infamous unspeakable curses and even use them on students. So I'm wondering if this is going to be a darker adaptation, because this isn't going to be focused around Harry Potter. It's a Harry Potter game, but this is about Hogwarts. I wonder what timeline it's actually going to be in, who they're going to be in it, if they're going to cameo some of the familiar characters that we know, such as Harry Potter, Hermione, all that stuff. I'm not a fan, so I can't remember all the names. So Hagrid, there we go. Hagrid would probably be a staple. You might see him. A new gameplay reveal ups the ante even further, though, showing off the game's dark arts battle arena, where 10 extra bucks nets you the opportunity to instantly murder goblins and wizards. Okay, so this tells me that this is not going to be 10 extra bucks. I'm really curious. Certainly, they're not producing this game and slapping in microtransactions. I know nothing about this. If it's going to be free to play, I can kind of understand that, but this also starts falling into the realm of pay to win. And pay to win mechanics are just not fun. Not at all, not even once. Like, I mean, look at Diablo Immortal. What was it? There's been people spending tens of thousands of dollars in that game, decking out their character, only to find out that once you reach the top, there was no peer you could ever PvP with because they were not on your level, because you have fought your way to the top, which it's a classic reference to why pay to win is not okay. Because there are whales, you can't see it because my arms are stiffed on my PNG tuber here, but they're air quotes. It's just, pay to win's bad. I understand. You want to get your game out there. Free is the way to do it. You can microtransaction the crap out of it. and here's a hot take for you. Like, even with Anthem, right? I really wish they would have built a multiplayer story around it, or a single player story around it, where it fit in a multiplayer aspect and took out the games as a service part of it. I almost feel it was kind of shoehorned in because EA wanted this, because all the other games had it. It's fitting a criteria of their theory of fun and their formula to make money, and it just flopped. And while BioWare promised in Anthem that they wouldn't at all do pay to win, and it's going to be cosmetic only. So at that particular point, you're going to have to be convinced that cosmetics is a good idea. Honestly, you should sell the game first, prove it's a good game, build the mechanics around that, around fun, and go with it. I've seen games. What was the game that I really respected and they stopped development on because it just wasn't fun? Really pulling out the video game historian in me right now. I'm trying to remember what that was. What was that? It'll come to me later. So let's read on. Let's see if we can get some more information on what this even is. Avalanche Studios' second gameplay showcase for Hogwarts Legacy aired earlier today, showing off flight on broomsticks and hippogriffs, as well as the game's customization options and Room of Requirements home base. However, the most eye-catching part was a trip to the Dark Arts, a battle arena where, playing as a young Hogwarts student, the developers instantly melted some rando using the Avada Kedavra curse. Okay. Battle arenas. So I don't really care about the battle arenas. Oh, here's something. Oh, wow, look at that. Yeah, it's Zot. All right. Like 8 seconds into the match, and they just completely nuke this kid. Look at this layout, too. We've got a map in the lower left-hand corner, uses. This looks like some sort of... Oh, it's a button map. I assume this is some sort of charge meter. Huh. This explains that. Jerry has been so far. Hogwarts Legacy, caught in the shadow of author J.K. Rowling's transphobic crusade. Yeah, that. Wow. And the royalty she continues to earn from all her. So who knew that a transphobe wrote a good book? And while her actions are deplorable, and I agree with that, people are still giving money hand over fist to this author. Like, oh no, that's bad, but I love your series. So what exactly are you promoting? I mean, I think this late in the product's life cycle, and it being a staple of children's reading, that it's probably worth considering that you don't have to support the author's future works. I suppose once she's passed, it won't matter so much unless she dedicates all future royalties to some horrible charity, at which point, I don't know. Let's see if they give any more information here. Typically with these press releases, they talk about the game a little bit. No. The good thing about... yeah, no, we're not going to get into that. Anyway, thanks, Kotaku. Kotaku, for as much shit as this site has got, they do generally have good reading articles. And again, I don't report on the news, I comment on it, so... yeah. What do we got? Amazon confirms it's making a God of War TV show. That's exciting. If you haven't heard of God of War or Under a Rock, please let me know. I'll try to explain it to you. I played a little bit of it. I remember when the first one was released. You can finally pet your horse in The Witcher 3. So, I don't have to show you the article on that either. They even comment on this. So, one of the things that you get to see in games is that you can interact with the animals. Like Stray was interesting because you could interact as the animal. You could do animal things. You will play as a cat and you do cat things, and you're given some special afforded abilities because you're wearing a special vest that houses some floaty robot. But there's something therapeutic, even if it's just virtual, where petting your anything, the dog on the street, your horse, catching a bird on your hand, giving it a stroke on the head, whatever it may be, is sometimes comforting, especially at least in the last few years where contact with anything has been absolutely terrible. Couldn't go outside, had to wear a mask, 6 feet apart. So perhaps maybe this is appealing to that, but still therapeutic. There's been studies showing that even, quality of life improvements just by having animals in a retirement home or a nursing home or a assisted living housing type situation actually improves the overall mood of the residents. It lowers blood pressure, at least it's shown to lower blood pressure, maybe because it's more of a Zen type thing. You're grooming something, it's calming, who knows, it probably appeals to our most primal of instincts. But yeah, this is good news. I'm glad they put it in. More crunch culture stuff. Tim Schafer opens up on Psychonaut series development nightmares. So let's go see what Tim Schafer had to say. I think there's like a whole interview set. Let me swap over to scene here. During a recent interview with NME, Tim Schafer, this is from GameDeveloper.com, by the way. Which, by the way, if you are ever interested in the game development area of the world, Game Developer actually is a good resource for getting postmortems on video games. Like, let's let's go see what they've even got on their front page today, because I love reading developer diaries and challenges, and sometimes they start talking about things like Perlin noise used for terrain generation and all kinds of cool stuff. Let's see here. What do we got? Game developer. Guerrilla Games confirms a Horizon. Okay, so that's just a press release. Nope. Let's see here. Unlock the secrets of Tunic in this Game Developer Conference 2023 design session. That's actually really cool, because Tunic was a very interesting. It was a very interesting game, and the choices it made to do things and whatnot. What else we got? Congress calls publishers to address extremism. Okay, extremism in game communities. This is actually a big thing. That's a whole different conversation I'm not going to have right now. Let's see here. Featured blogs, narrative and trailers, cutscenes, and cinematics for the game music composer. So it even goes into like the game music composer area of the industry, and it's really neat. So if you have any type of interest in game development, or at least reading about it, or are you doing it and you don't know about this, this is actually a great resource to read postmortems and read blogs, Marvel Snaps. Agatha Harkness puts a whole new spin on deck building. Here's why Beacon Pine's branching structure is brilliant. So it really gets into the game design, and that's great. And there's also, if you're looking for work, they also have a job section here, which is kind of cool. But that's GameDeveloper.com. If you've never heard of it, it's actually a great resource. A lot of this stuff falls in line with the current events, as well as events of game developers. Let's get back to this. So if this is the interview with Tim Schafer, let's get the cliff notes here. In the case of Psychonauts 2, it's a long haul throughout its development. Let's see here. Crowdfunded for $3.3 million in 2016. Meant to be published by Starbreeze Studios. Starbreeze Studios went bankrupt, had to scale back. Microsoft later acquired publishing rights when it purchased Double Fine in 2019. Development of Psychonauts 2, a roller coaster, and admitted that at certain points didn't really feel like it was going to be good. See, this is another example of, do you really continue working on it if it's not fun? I think that happened with the Titan project from Blizzard, if I remember correctly. This was years ago when they were talking about doing a WoW spinoff or a WoW universe-related game that was doing things like that. Let's see here. The original Psychonauts was one of the worst crunches in his career as a game developer. Worked until 5 in the morning for days on end to ensure it would reach its April 2005 release. We were just like, oh God, that was terrible. That was wrong. Let's never do that again. So yeah, this comes down to, and I think we touched on this, the idea of crunch in the last podcast that we did. It was either the last podcast or the podcast before it. Crunch rears its ugly head all over the place. Crunch is terrible. I'm glad that there are studios out there piloting like 4-day work weeks and allowing for personal time and trying to avoid the crunch altogether. I've said it before, just because that you've done it doesn't mean it's an industry standard, right? Because you burned yourself to the ground and gave yourself a number of health and mental problems trying to push out a project, and you only did it because that's what everybody else does, it's not right. It absolutely isn't. I have better things to do, like spending all my time making a podcast, or thinking of new things, or ways to engage, or anything like that. So, this right here, as long as you don't say that's normal, you say, how do we fix that problem? That's the important thing. Constant struggle to get better at every game. Yeah, and that's really the bottom line. Like, look at indie devs. Like, indie devs, not indie dev studios. Just like the two-man crew. They choose how they work. They're not governed by an entity going, we've got deadlines, we've got to push this out, so forth and so on. There's a number of other things that you have to do, so you only get so much time to get into your flow. or a flow state to even continue working on your project before you have to turn around and do marketing or do social media stuff or respond to emails or figure out how you're going to pay for lunch or when's your next nap going to be or managing your time using some sort of time management strategy. Like one of my favorites I actually use is I focus for about 10 minutes because that's about all I can stand. Then I give myself a good 5 minute do whatever session. So in an hour, it ends up being like, what, 10, 15? You know, I get a good 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes worth of work. And I actually have 20 minutes of spread over that whole hour where I don't have to focus so much. It's not bad. I highly suggest it. Never burn yourself to the ground. Don't focus so hard you lose track of everything. All right, let's move on to the next thing that I have on my list. Which, by the way, if you want to see this list and the things I've put up, Discord links in the About section. Please feel free to come in. We've got rules. Don't be a dick. Don't break terms of service and end user license agreement for Discord. Be happy. Discuss news. Shenanigans. Luna Abyss exclusive gameplay trailer reveals intense bullet hell. Okay. How intense is this? Let's go find out. Does it say on the Steam page? Alright. Let's go see what's on the Steam page. I guess it's on Steam. What's it called? Luna Abyss. Okay. Let's give it a copy. Pull up some Steam. Drop it into the search bar. Store. Drop some pretzel real quick. Give it a pause. We'll start it back up after we look at this. Abyss. Perfect. Ooh, that's loud. Let's drop it to right about here.
Only those who bear those beautiful red eyes are chosen.
Let's give it a good start over here real quick so you can see what's going on.
You must be very excited. Only those who bear those beautiful red eyes are chosen.
Well, certainly pretty.
We see you. Let us light your path.
We see you. Yeah, okay. I don't even know. Okay, let's keep going. And boom. Laser puzzles, blobs, magic. Very Atomic Heart-ish. Look at this. What is that? Is it the Sharingan? I can't remember. I can't remember. I know Naruto. Let's keep going. Maybe I'll get a copyright strike. That'll be terrible.
Step into the drift. Let me share with you a fragment.
Rails, pulsing. Listen here. Listen. It looks twisted enough, but we got plenty of twisted games. I've seen plenty of them. Okay, yeah, no. Like, it's see, this is what I'm talking about by masturbatory. There's nothing special here that I give a crap about. Let's turn pretzel back on. Ugh. Okay, so that was a bust. I was hoping maybe. What did he even say about it? Game plus bullet hell sequences and action-packed combat set on Luna Extremely dangerous mimic. Based on the exclusive trailer, the upcoming shooter will come with a fast-paced gameplay formula. I didn't see anything in there that was fast-paced. I saw zip lines. I saw generic ass-looking monsters. I saw a laser puzzle. It's not looking so good. I'm certainly not in a place where I'm like, oh man, here's my $70. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Yeah. Let's keep looking. Witcher 3 becomes best open world RPG again, beating Elden Ring. Well, the Witcher world was really detailed and really awesome, but so was Elden Ring's. It's a toss-up. It's a shame they didn't do that for the Game Awards. Everything we need to know about Starfield, I'm going to believe it when I see it, because we heard everything we needed to hear about Fallout 76, and we saw where that went. Fable 4. Oh man, the Fable franchise. I remember this before they were brought in as a Microsoft studio, so I'm going to talk about that period exclusively. So, Fable, hyped by Peter Molyneux. That guy. Stories behind that scrub. Ugh. Promised an experience that would grow with you and grow with your character. If you were to do something, it would follow you along. You would play from childhood all the way to where you're an adult hero. The world would change and adapt to you. And the reality of that was nowhere near what it was supposed to be. Now, mind you, Lionhead Studios did do Black and White and Black and White 2. And I thoroughly enjoyed those games. They were a little clunky here and there, but the concept was neat. I wanted to see more. You could teach your creatures to do things, cast miracles. It was a brilliant game and brilliantly executed, but the most important thing was it was not advertised beyond what it was supposed to be. They make promises. And examples of advertising beyond what it's supposed to be would be No Man's Sky, if you remember that. So, Fable, that franchise. And mind you, the game wasn't bad. It was actually quite enjoyable. It was kind of generic for the time that it was released. There was nothing groundbreaking in it. In fact, Kingdoms of Amalur kind of fell in that same vein of button mashing and weapon switching and doing different things and building your character how you want to build it, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but not so much. The Fable franchise going forward got better, but the hype on it was getting worse and getting worse. And then it came down to, it was a good enough game to where it was timeless now. And people would still talk about how terrible the in-game the kingdom management section. So after you beat Fable 3, you had this kingdom management where you had to amass wealth and make decisions on a daily basis on who gets money, who doesn't, who lives, who dies. And it was empty. It felt empty. I didn't play it for very long after I beat it. The adventure was very samey. So yeah, Fable, disappointing franchise, okay game. What else we got? Metallica's now in Fortnite, don't care. Picked it up because Metallica. They're out to get your Napster. This is interesting. They included a 90-minute movie inside of High on Life. We just talked about that earlier. And so this 90-minute movie, I read up on this just a little bit. Let's get this going here. And from PC Gamer, let me swap scenes here real quick. The movie title on this one was pointed out by what was it? User XJ now 331X. What was the name of it? See, a 2019 Uncut Vinegar Syndrome edition of the movie, which was... There it is. Tammy and the T-Rex. Like, I think I almost want to buy the game so I can watch the movie inside the game. I think that would make this $70 or $60, whatever they're asking for, is worth it. I think this is another interesting design choice. I'm glad they didn't quality of life improvement that out of there. Yeah, look at that. Brilliant. Brilliant design choices. Game copied Among Us so hard it became popular in almost the exact same way. So, the one thing that you can just about count on in human history is that no idea is ever original. The original idea is what you built upon. You have a enhanced idea. You have created something new from existing things. Not that everything has been undiscovered, but then you've got complete flips or copying mechanics one for one. Among Us was very popular. In fact, I even think there's a VR version of it now, which makes it really interesting. So I assume, let's open this up. Let's see what this says. Goose Goose Duck hit Steam's most played games this month with help from a Korean superstar. Okay, so already it was celebrity endorsed, so obviously you got to play it. Mega hit, 2020 lockdowns. Actually, they released 2 years earlier, 2018. Yes, I remember that. Maybe one of the most notable examples of delayed success in the video game business. Weirdly, the creators of Goose Goose Duck, a free-to-play game which closely resembles Among Us, managed to not only replicate its format, but also that delayed popularity. Goose Goose Duck only started to blow up on Steam in the middle of November. Weirder still, Goose Goose Duck and Among Us became popular for similar reasons. Among Us took off back in 2020 in large part due to Korean streamers. Will cause Goose Goose Duck to shoot from a few thousand concurrent Steam players at the start of November to over 150,000 in December isn't hard to pinpoint. On November 14th, Kim Tae-hyung of Korean boy band BTS streamed it. There you have it, folks. Instant success. If you ever want to be great in podcasting or video game development or music or anything, you just have to get a celebrity to use your product. There you have it. Now you know why Terry's an Old Spice. Terry Crews is an Old Spice. Moving onward. Whole dang Midnight Sun cartoon on YouTube. Okay, I hear Midnight Sun has its own issues, and I think it's a whole different thing on its own. I hear it's a good game, though. There's people absolutely enjoying it. I just don't think it's going to be one of my cup of teas. Crisis Core Remaster forgot about this watermark stocked image. So there's a fine line between asset flipping and saving work. Or reinventing the wheel, I think, would be a better analogy. So there's a lot of things out there that looks the same, and stock images are a great source for everything. I'm surprised they picked the thing up with the watermark in it. Let's see if they've got a picture of it. Where is it? Fork out some image licensing fees. Either that or Getty Images is now officially part of Final Fantasy VII lore. 1881 piece by John Crowther. Okay, so it just wasn't some thing. Depicting London's Ludgate Circus. Painting has been zoomed in and stretched to fit a horizontal frame, and apparently it wasn't possible to stretch it enough to get rid of a giant watermark. I mean, not that nobody wouldn't notice that that's what painting that was. It's hard to fair use something like that I mean, YouTubers have been shut down for less. See, do they have a picture of this thing? Oh, maybe on Twitter. Here it is. Great news, everybody. Getty Images is canon in Final Fantasy VII. All right, let's take a look. Getty Images right there. This is fucking brilliant. Don't get me wrong. Like this person right here saying, stock images are used all the time. This is still one of the best remasters I've ever seen. By a mile. So they're writing it off as using this asset, even though. Jeez. That's hilarious. Close out some of these tabs here real quick. Harry Potter, Tim Schafer, Luna. Luna was a disappointment. I was expecting to see something awesome. Alright, what else we got? World of Warcraft Dragonflight Season 1 kicks off with the new raid. Yeah, I'm playing WoW right now. I haven't done the new raid. I've actually been looking to do my PvP more often than not. I haven't done PvP in a long time, so... Game removes loot boxes. Players revolt instead of celebrate. This is an interesting twist. If you've ever heard me talk about loot boxes, it's not favorable. So let's see what's going on here. Music's just freaking kicking tonight. Alright, popular free-to-play mobile game Brawl Stars is doing something a bit different in an era where it seems every game is trying to nickel and dime you with more and more stuff to buy. Instead, it's removing loot boxes and all random rewards entirely from the game. It's yet another sign that loot boxes are likely to become a relic of the past as lawmakers and players push back on the random rewards. So this is really difficult for me because you would go to a comic book store or a Walmart or some store that sells a package of some sort. Be it cards, be it an item, and whatnot, and you have a chance to get something specific out of said card pack or box. I think I've done this too. I think I ended up buying some like Doctor Who boxes. And there was like rares and ultra rares and whatnot. There was like 7 different things that could come out of the box. More commonly, you got something stupid. Well, it wasn't really stupid. It was Doctor Who themed. But same thing with like trading card packs. I know trading card packs have been like you're guaranteed to at least get a uncommon. Sometimes you'll get a rare, but it's not guaranteed that you'll get a rare or ultra rare, which I find interesting. I think if you ever watch pack opening streams like on Sinvicta, where he does Pokemon unboxing, or if you look at any of the affiliated unboxers. What do I got? My daily briefing? It is. But it's along the same lines. You don't have a problem with going in and getting and buying boxes upon boxes of packs upon packs of random chance encounters. What's the difference between the physical manifestation of that and opening up a box in game? It makes it really hard to regulate because how do you regulate that without regulating the other thing? What is that going to do to Pokemon TCG? What is that going to do to Magic the Gathering? What is that going to do to what? Decades and decades and decades of sports cards where you have a chance, just a chance, to get something nice. And nice is relative too because it's a collector's market. Like getting a mint anything or a pristine mint or whatever they call it, what is it actually worth? Technically, it's only worth in a 15 card pack 1/15th of the price. If the pack is $1, then you're 1/15th of a dollar. That's what it is. Right? Same thing with loot boxes. It's all bundled in. And some of the discussions that we've had about loot boxes, even on the UDP broadcast, is where you actually get a random chance. You could buy currency, and with buying currency, you actually get a pack that has a chance to give you something. So you're not purchasing the loot box directly; it's a value add, and that's how they've been getting around that in countries where loot box is bad. Okay, personally, I'm happy to see them go. As far as like paid, as in real money transactions, I would love to see in-game currency transactions for loot boxes. I think that would be cool. At that point, it levels the playing field, and your status or power or anything is only governed by your ability to farm up in-game currency of some sort without having to buy said in-game currency. There's opportunity everywhere to make money, and that's what they're doing. And Total Biscuit called it out. Jim Sterling's called it out. I've called it out. Just because they're doing it and they're shoveling it in doesn't mean it's the industry standard. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Well, apparently people like it. Same thing with this Web3 game movement, which kind of irritates the piss out of me to begin with. I don't want to play NFT games. I don't want to have to buy stuff to play my game. Like, WoW is about as far as I'll go. Maybe I'll buy a $25 mount here and there. But I don't want my entire game to cost money to play at all. I already work for a living. I don't want to take my currency that I use to pay for everything to pay for a simulator where it just becomes another job on a repeated basis and in gross amounts. It's not fun. I wouldn't do anything with that. Not at all. Let's get the scene change here. Brawl Stars mixed cute characters with mobile-like gameplay and some battle royale elements. The end result was a fun top-down competitive action game that I played for weeks and weeks. But since I stopped playing, millions have continued to enjoy it. Let's see here. Active player base. Named here. Now Supercell has removed all loot boxes from the game, and the reaction to the change is oddly mixed. Announced in a Brawl Talk video posted last week, Supercell's last update to Brawl Stars has removed all random rewards from the game. The boxes were mainly used to unlock new characters in the game. Since its release 3 years ago, Brawl Stars has heavily featured loot boxes as part of its rewards, but with yesterday's update, this is no longer the case. No more probabilities, no more random rewards, and no more playing a guessing game when you unlock Brawler. As part of this update, all unclaimed boxes will automatically be opened and all rewards be given to players accordingly. Moving forward, Keenberg and Supercell say that all rewards, including its battle passes, will be replaced with different deterministic rewards, some of which are new to the game. Now players have a new battle pass-like feature, the Star Road, which lets them unlock all characters for free via grinding. Okay, so it's leveled the playing field. Players can now just buy any brawler they want with gems, instead of randomly buying dozens of loot boxes to maybe get a specific hero. Okay. Make things more fair and predictable. I remember how I was talking about fair just a few seconds ago. It gives you a clear and exciting goal every time you play the game. Okay. Alright, I'm down. I'm on board. Moving the boxes, very governments, things, celebrating special mobile games. Okay, this is all opinion. Liberty see the excitement loot box outweigh the frustration that often accompanies them. Okay, this is the comments in the Brawl Talk video has players rallying against devs and demanding boxes to return to Brawl Stars. Why? Let's see. Others suggest they have little interest in playing the game since random rewards are being removed. So I wonder if it's like a slot machine type addiction. It's gambling. And that's what loot boxes are. That's what trading cards are. That's what it is. It's all gambling. You have a chance at getting something. You have a chance to win. And prize is all perception. Something similar happened to Overwatch 2's release, where some players were angry that the removal of loot boxes and demanded they be returned to the game. While I agree that progression in Overwatch 2 sucks at the moment, I'd rather Blizzard figure out a way to fix that doesn't involve bringing back loot boxes, even if it did give you a lot of free ones before. Alright, that's real. Okay. So, interesting. Player base actually likes it. Mario Kart 7 gets patched after 10 years after last update. Good on you, Nintendo, after all the garbage that you've been doing for patching this old game. What is this even for now? Mario Kart 7. I think I played that on the 3DS. I remember being upset I couldn't play 8. And 8, I think, was on the Wii U. And 8 Deluxe is on Switch. Huh. Switch takes alleged hate group off approved charities list. Good. Good move. But the real question is why wasn't it vetted before you put it up there? Maybe they thought it was okay? Maybe they didn't know a lot about the charity? Who knows? Regulatory policy. Okay, we just got finished talking about loot boxes. ESA and Gay Gaming Professionals celebrate Respect for Marriage Act. I think this one's probably... Oh, for Marriage Act adoption. Okay. This is probably going to get political, but let's go take a look. I'm going to refuse to comment on it. Just know that I'm all for being your own person and being the best you can be on your terms and to be happy all the time. Let's talk about this. Let's see what's in here. Let's see what's in here. Joint statement support of the RFMA being signed into law. Okay, what is that? Entertainment Software Association of Gay Gaming Professionals have released a joint statement celebrating the adoption of the Respect for Marriage Act. Okay, that's what that is. The Respect for Marriage Act. Was signed into law by U.S. President Joe Biden. Good on you, Joe. On Tuesday, and provides protection for same-sex and interracial marriage. I wonder about that. Oh, same-sex and interracial marriages. Why is this still a thing? So, I know the hot button topic right now is gender, but this, I remember there was a whole movie growing up called Jungle Fever that focused on that. Why is this still a thing? Why haven't we figured out that we're people? Anyway, same-sex interracial marriages by requiring U.S. federal and state governments to recognize their validity. Yes, you should do that. To be honest with you, my own personal opinion on marriage, and mind you, I am married, is that beyond all the ceremonious BS that you have to do, being officiated in, and mind you, you can take out the religious portion of it and just go up to the justice of the peace or the county clerk's office. You have to go find a JP and you can just go sign yourself a marriage certificate. And what it does is it allows another person to take legal responsibility over you and your assets in the case of your untimely demise or incapacitated, or you're incapacitated. So it is a legal way to make sure that you're going to be okay and be taken care of by somebody you trust without any shenanigans. That's important. I think across, like, this still bugs me. That still bugs me, not because of what it is, but because it's still a thing. There should be no reason that we're even talking about this anymore. People are people. It doesn't matter. Love who you want to love. Be who you want to be. Do the right thing. Live your life happy. Seriously. Anyway, so cool. Good on you, Joe. Respect for Marriage Act. Statement from the ESA and GGP said, We celebrate the Respect for Marriage Act, an important piece of bipartisan legislation that safeguards the rights and protections to which same-sex and interracial couples and their families are entitled. Good. Good. Everybody should be protected equally. The interactive entertainment industry remains steadfast in our commitment to achieving progress on equality and inclusion, including with our workforce and player communities. Good. Good. Nice, short, to the point. Good stuff. Let's move on. Dwarf Fortress now needs about 100 icons for spilled intestines. It's torn arteries and bruised tendons. Neat. Armored Core 6 is going to be pretty boss. I've always wanted to play the Armored Core series, and big stompy robots are a thing. One of Steam's most popular games about watching rubber duckies. This is not the first time I've seen this article. Not this particular article, but this particular game, where, yeah. Let's go. Placid Plastic Duck Simulator. 98% positive reviews. Okay. Idle games are one of the most surprising breakout niches in the last few years. Well, yeah. They've really capitalized on the monetization of those as well. For the first while, these games are typically anything but idle as you frantically click until you reach a point where the game starts to play itself. Yeah, I remember Hero Clicker. That's how it was. I remember holding my mouse still and just rapid firing my index finger onto the mouse button just to get me to the point where I didn't have to do that anymore. Where it made more sense just to let the game play for me because it could far outdo what I could do with my own finger. Now, Placid Plastic Duck Simulator is truly an idle game. You do absolutely nothing but watch some plastic ducks float in a pool. I'm here to tell you it's one of the most highly rated games on Steam. As first, my excellent game Discover Code newsletter, PPDS, on Steam isn't a sudden spike. It is, to be more reasonable, a succession of spikes since its original release in July this year. Since then, the barely interactive game has received over 3,500 overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, currently registering an almost 198% positive ratings. And why? On one level, this has generally nothing to do. This generally has nothing other than watching rubber duckies floating in a blandly rendered backyard pool. At first, you have one yellow duck, but as an on-screen duckometer fills, new ducks fall from the sky. These come with their own designs, perhaps sporting a headband or a top hat or a pipe. Or they may be cleverly disguised as a sprinkled donut. I almost wonder how well that would do on Twitch. Just like, load up Placid Plastic Duck Simulator and just let it go. Why not? Jeez. What else we got? Giving out Dishonored 2 for free. That's exciting. I don't know if they're still doing it because I posted this on the 13th and it is now the 17th. And of course, Nipple Sal is going to rub. Well, what does he say? Okay with that. I think it was classic Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters likely to hit Switch and PS4, which is exciting. PC requirements reach new high as popular PS5 game hits Steam. This is another thing that bugs me. So, typically, and I mean very typically, for the PC, you would develop at a level, and then for the platforms, you would scale back, because for a platform such as Xbox or PS4 or PlayStation or Switch, you know the hardware, you know what it can do, and you have to fit what you want into this game into the capabilities of the hardware can deal with it. You don't want to overcompensate. I think TB at one point was talking about why is this game 60 frames per second? Typically Anything after that you can't really notice anyway, but even still, why do we not have 60 frames per second in an age where we have full 1080p rendering? And it all comes down to hardware limitations. It does. Sometimes it's baked in the architecture, sometimes it is developer imposed, but you still need a decent gameplay experience no matter what. It has to run at some benchmark. 30 frames per second is typically a target. 60 frames if you want it to look good and shiny and slides everywhere. But that's kind of where that goes. But this, like, if I remember correctly, the PS5 is a powerful piece of hardware, but like, even just the title here, Returnal's arrival on PC comes with a recommended system requirement of 32 gigabytes of RAM. So, what does that mean? I don't think I've ever seen a piece of software that requires that much RAM to run. Period. Typically, in the software space, there is the core program that needs a certain allotment of memory, and that is that program's memory space. And anything else that's loaded on the side is actually a buffer pool. It is loaded into the buffer pool and is ready for use, or it is created and stored there for it to be flushed to disk at some point. Right? Buffer pool is stored in memory. Memory is flushed to disk as changes are made, things like that. 32 gigs of RAM. Like take SQL Server, for example. You need a minimum of at least 4 gigs to run that. Okay, that's reasonable. We understand that. You can then adjust the buffer pool size to consume all of your RAM as SQL Server needs it. But it's configurable. Why is this game requiring 32 gigs of RAM as a requirement? What the actual fuck? Alright, let's open it up. Let's see if it has any insight. Pop quiz for you PC nerds. A friend wants to build a gaming PC and he wants to know how much RAM they should get. By the way, the minimum for today's games is 16, I should say. 32 is desirable. I think this streaming rig that I'm running on right now, I'm balancing 16. And I do it quite well. Yeah, right here, 16 gigs of for gaming is a safe bet. It is. It really is. Maybe you could even get by with 8 if you only want to play mostly indie games and perform daily computing tasks. Well, this 8 is... So, the concept of virtual memory means that what you can't fit in RAM, you actually move to a different level of cache, which is your hard disks, and your access is going to vary depending on how your data is stored, from RAM, which runs in nanoseconds, to your disk, which is measured in access times of milliseconds. And then, of course, you have the bus to push it all through, and the limitations of the hardware therein. So while the RAM is connected directly to the motherboard and it just passes through whatever bus is in it, the hard drive is not in the same boat, because you have the limitations of the hard drive and the hardware you purchased and the bus it actually runs on. Ugh. Okay, let's read on. Well, you better hope this hypothetical friend of yours, not that you don't have real friends, I'm sure. Thanks, Kotaku. Isn't planning on playing the upcoming PC version of Returnal because, according to the game's new Steam listing, recommended specs is asking for an eye-watering 32 gigs. Recommended. So there's, well, it's recommended. It was required to be. Let's go. You know what? Maybe they're blowing this out of proportion. Let's go take a visual look. I have Steam up. Let's go check it out. Returnal. Here we go. Maybe they did it on purpose, kind of like how they showed these high-res images of like Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3. And the first thing people ask is, "Where's this high-res texture pack?" This looks nothing like the game we showed at the things. So, let's go. Nope, you're muted. There we go. So, minimum just to get it off the ground. Windows 10, Core i5. Okay, 6th gen. That's reasonable. 4-core. All right, yeah, that's fine. Or 4-core AMD Ryzen 5. Okay, 16 gigs of RAM. So this is your starting point. Requires a 1060 series video card from NVIDIA, or a 580 from AMD, with 6 gigs of whatever video RAM is currently available. All right, okay. SSD recommended. Good. 60 gigs of available space. Okay, that sounds about right. Recommended. Well, I don't know. 60 gigs is quite a bit for a game. I guess it just really depends. I remember when was it Conan? Age of Conan came out, and the big thing about that was oh my gosh, it takes 80 gigs, and this is like back when like terabytes weren't even possible, or if they were possible, they were outside of consumer price range, and the thousands of dollars. That's when you would resort to RAID. Anyway, this requires an i7. By the way, if you're ever going to do gaming builds, don't go any less than i7. Period. If you're going Intel, ever, i7s are completely worth it. In fact, if you plan on doing streaming, your base is an i7. You need the CPU threads. 32 gigs of RAM. Okay. And a 2070. 2070 Super with 8 gigs of onboard memory. Again, I'm running a laptop, so yeah, I could do it. I can run Richer on Ultra. So, and I think I've got a 20 series, a 2080 in this. Of course, it's a mobile GPU, which is different, but it's the thing. I can do it. So, I think they did that. It was kind of, that article was kind of misleading, and that's one of the things you have to worry about when actually looking at this. Is like, what exactly is it that we're looking at, and can we? Hey, what's going on, Lindsay? Actually, hold on. We'll do this. There you go. There you go, bro. Enjoy. I only do that because you're family. Enjoy your ping emotes. Join the Discord server. Do the things. Oh, and don't be a dick in my Discord server. My hosts and my crew won't tolerate it. You just stepping in, watching me talk to myself? Yeah, I'm just filling time. We're not going to do the podcast for the next few weeks. So, yeah, it's just coming down. I've got all of this stuff here, and I'm like, let's go take a look. Let's go see what's going on. Because I don't really have a lot of time to review it during the week. I picked the most interesting things that I could find as eye-catching that doesn't seem masturbatory. So, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But, welcome. Where was I? Oh yeah, we're looking at this stuff. So yeah, I think this is more of a scare piece, and Kotaku's really known for doing that kind of thing. D&D CEO thinks hobby is under-monetized compared to other video games. I don't know. I think anybody with a D&D habit knows that this shit is not under-monetized. Don't get me wrong. Every CEO is going to be like, we need more, and that's just going to be the thing. Not even going to look at that. Classic Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters like to hit the Switch. Good job. PC modders get classics like Half-Life, Max Payne looking brand new, and I'm actually happy for that. Like, both of those were really good games, and I think these came out in a time when these are 32-bit programs, so you had a limit of about 4 gigs to work with. And that's 4 gigs total on the machine. Like, we just had to talk about system requirements and what it takes to actually run stuff. But yeah, so it's exciting that we're actually getting to see some high-res stuff coming through for some of these beloved games. And again, we've talked about this in other podcasts. That's why modders are important to the community. You need this kind of interaction. You want your game to live. Like Skyrim alone would probably not be near as prolific as it is now if it wasn't for the fact that you can mod the shit out of it. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, go watch Video Games Donkey's video where he modded the crap out of Skyrim. Ain't nothing like seeing Thomas the Tank Engine coming down his Alduin and going toot toot and blowing everybody away. Absolutely fantastic. Highly recommend. Argues FTC, Microsoft lawsuit, blah, blah, blah. John Romero shows development process of Doom mod on live stream. This is exciting. I love developers who show their development process while in public. I think this should be done more often. Game development is not an easy task, and I'm glad there's people out there willing to do it in front of the world. This here, Dev calls attention to flaw in Steam's developer backlink system. This seems interesting. Let's go take a look at this. From to GameDeveloper.com. What do we got? Calling on Valve to change how Steam's backlink system is handled. Let's see here. In a video from last week, publisher Two Left Thumbs, corroborating a concern initially raised by developer Thiago Oliveira, showed that clicking a developer's name on Steam will lead to the publisher's Steam page. When a game is released on Steam, its publisher is responsible for releasing screenshots, writing a description, and providing other backend information. This means that they can also link to a developer's Steam page, if a developer has one or a personal website. As Two Left Thumbs points out in the video, publishers linking to their own Steam page means that developers can lose out on customers exploring their past or future releases. And yeah, no, like that sounds like a huge oversight. It has become far too common to screw over the developers by making both links go to the publisher's page, said Two Left Thumbs in a video. As a user, I find that a game that I like, if I find a game that I like, I'm much more likely to look up what else that developer has done, and that's absolutely true. Think about Kojima. Think about Guillermo del Toro. Guillermo del Toro. I couldn't speak tonight. You refuse to play Skyrim. Well, good. Nobody needs to play Skyrim anymore. That game's old. Unless you have an LG fridge, then play Skyrim on that. Or was it Samsung smart fridges? I don't know. At this particular point, you could probably play Skyrim on a modern microwave. So yeah, that's a thing. I honestly think that if you want to take a look and see what a developer's done, you should totally look and see what a developer's done. If you want to see what the publisher has in its catalog, you should totally see that. And both links should not link back to the publisher. Period. Bad stuff. Okay, that makes sense. That's a huge oversight. Good job for finding that. Good job calling that out. Here we go. We were just talking about 4-day work weeks. This is in trial in the UK. I'm all for it. I kind of wish my job did the same thing. That was a long time ago, Lindsay. a long, long time ago. That was like at release. You got to play it fresh off the fresh off the download servers. There we go. Class action lawsuit against Fortnite to go ahead in Canada. What is this class action lawsuit? Have a valid product liability claim against Epic Games. Okay. Lawsuit was first initiated in 2019 by Montreal-based legal firm Calix Legal. Okay, so Quebec. On behalf of the parents of two minors who claim that Epic Games knowingly created Fortnite to be as addictive as possible. Yeah. I think that's the point. We just had this discussion. I ruined Of course I did. Anyway. So we're talking about a company that created a free-to-play game that is designed with a core mechanic to be fun, with cosmetic rewards, I mind you. I mean, we just got finished talking about that with Anthem. And they make it as addictive as possible. Because, well, Fortnite is free. So you have to keep the player base in. You have to keep developing stuff. You have to keep churning out things. You have to create new ways to be interesting. That's why you can be a frosty banana. That's why you can be a chainsaw murdering clown. Yeah, Fortnite is kind of Lindsay. It really is. I mean, they got some interesting mechanics in there. It's very stylized. Like, their winter event's really cool. They've changed up their shop. I don't like their shop now, but it's what it is. The battle pass is legit, but I really don't like the game that much. I got a dope-ass looking tune, though, when I do want to play. At this point, it's all legacy skins. So, I'm going to stop here. There's nothing else to read here. Knowingly created Fortnite to be as addictive as possible. This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard of, and they've got a point. It's the thing. You can file a lawsuit on just about anything. So, does not appear to be frivolous or manifestly ill-founded, with the legal proceedings now to go ahead with plaintiffs have a valid product liability claim against its defendants. Okay. Yeah, no, I've had enough of this shit. Let's move on. This is the dumbest thing. It might affect someone somewhere. I can't imagine, well, due to a stupid lawsuit in Quebec, you can no longer have fun and addictive games. It has to be as lame as possible. Like Placid Plastic Rubber Duck Simulator. Touched on this earlier. NetEase, same company did Diablo, Immortal. Being sued because they created a clone for Riot that looks like Valorant. There you go. Removes loot boxes. Not talking about this one. More developer-publisher relationship bullshit. There's been a lot of that recently where developers are breaking from the publishers because they're doing shitty things. There was one story that was heartbreaking where a UK firm was using heritage appropriated funds for a rare race, I think, or a indigenous race of some sort. And instead of giving the money that they applied for to the developer who is part of said race, it kept it for itself and considered it part of it was a terrible story. I forgot the name of it right now, but it's in this list should you ever decide to do things. Let's see here. Good night. Ba-ba-ba. Gotta do the things. There we go. Ba-ba-ba. Get back here. Nope. Nope. And I think that's about all I want to talk about tonight. Let's see here. This new shield mode kind of blocked this. So I guess there's a group of people wanting to redo EQ in Unity game engine. Well, that would be interesting. They'd have to get it away from Sunbreak to even do that. So think of super shiny graphics, new character models with the old character heads. Oh, that would be weird. I thought it was interesting and really polishing a turd. So I think it would be interesting to have a graphical remaster of EverQuest. Like just rebuild the lands from the ground up with higher quality textures and better rendering, because we're at a point in technology now where we're not like. I think if you even look at the options section of modern EQ, there's still an option to enable Voodoo graphics acceleration, and Voodoo graphics acceleration hasn't been a thing in literal forever. Like I think you specifically would have been about 10 or 11 when Voodoo 3 was a thing. But I think it would be nice. EverQuest was an interesting experience all on its own. It was the make your own adventure simulator. You weren't held by the hand. You weren't dragged around by the dick. You had to go find your adventure. You had to go talk to people. Like, you remember that? Hail! They're like, hey, adventurer, I see that you're near me and you are amicable to this city of Buenos. How would you like to go strangle 10 chickens? And you would go strangle 10 chickens. I think the best part about that game is that you would have to go take a box. And it has like 3 slots. And you have to put a fire beetle eye, some bones, and some spider legs in it. You close it and hit combine. And it gives you some badass sword for a newbie. 20 minutes to zone. Yeah, well, that's an exaggeration. I remember it taking a long time for me. I think when I first started playing that game, we weren't in the gigs of RAM. We were in the megabytes of RAM. I think I wasn't even breaking a gig at that particular point. Still rolling XP. Maybe it was a gig, maybe it was 2 gig. I know that I was running at 64 megs of RAM. Yeah, sounds about right. And that was pretty good at that particular point. I remember starting playing it at like 16. Man, you'll talk about 20 minutes to zone. But EQ has kind of lost all of its charm. If you've ever logged into EQ proper, there is a lot going on. There's so much going on. You were just bombarded by window after 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 window. And it's just terrible. The gameplay loop is still the same. That doesn't change. Huh. Well, there's that. Yeah. That's where I'm at with this. I think I'm actually going to call it good. I don't even know who all's here. Let me see here. Where is it? Yeah. I think that I am done for tonight. I'm going to call it good. I don't have much else to say. Join the Discord. Have fun. Maybe I might do this again. Who knows? I sat here and I talked for about an hour and a half of shit I found over the last week. What day do we even make it to? The 13th. The 17th. We made it to Tuesday. Close enough. All right. I think with that, we're just going to go ahead and call it good here. Thanks for hanging out with me. Lindsay, enjoy your brand spanking new Ping the Cat emotes. And now you have access to all the Ping the Cat emotes inside of Discord just for existing. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time.